Om. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sadashivasamarambham Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Guru Paramparam. Ramo Rajamanis Sada Vijayate Ramam Ramesham Bhaje Ramena Bihata Nishacharachamu Ramaya Tasmai Namaha. Ramannasti parayanam parataram Ramasya dasosmyaham. Rame chittalaya sada bhavatu me bho Rama mamuddhara. Samasta jana kalyane niratam karunamayam namami chinmayam devam sadgurum brahma vidvaram sadgurum brahma vidvaram. Om Bhadram Karnebhi Shrunuyama Devaah Bhadram Pashyemakshabhiryajatraah Sthirairangai Stuštuvagum Sastanubhi Vyashema Devahitam Yadayuh. Swasti na Indro Vruddhashravah Swasti na Pusha Vishwavedah Swasti nastarksho arishtanemihi Swasti no bruhaspatir dadhatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Shri Chinmaya Satgurave Namaha. 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 Second Mundaka, first Khanda, second mantra. Divyo Hyamurtaf Purushah Sabāhyābhyantaro Hyajah Aprāno Hyamana Shubhrah Yaksharat Parataf Parah. This mantra is talking about the indicators of Akshara. Holding on to words, one can shift attention to the truth. And if you are able to shift attention and keep our mind there without other thoughts interrupting, that is called as Shabdhanu Viddha Samadhi. Shabda means word. Anuviddha means after hearing that word. Samadhi is mind turned towards the self. This mantra has the power to lead a sadhaka into the practice of Shabdhanu Viddha Samadhi. Through negation, truth is pointed out. In Saddarshanam, Bhagwan Raman Maharshi Ji gave one example where he said, there is an expert diver sitting on the periphery of the well, wanting to dive deep to find a jewel. Koope yatha gade tathe jalantar. nimajya buddhya shitaya nishantam. Just like he is getting ready to dive in, holds his breath, first listens from the person who has lost the jewel, where it has fallen, which side of the well it has fallen, what does it look like. Then, holding on to his breath, tying a stone to his waist, he dives into the well, finds that jewel, comes back. If he doesn't find it, comes back, prepares again goes in the same way. So Ramana Maharshi said that jewel is the self. And the seeker who is diving has to first listen about the nature of self. Otherwise, when we sit in meditation, we will not know what we are searching. And holding the breath was all the other sadhanas that he has done, so that when he is doing this vichara, other thoughts don't interrupt. When he is doing this subtle thinking, shitaya nishantam, that intellect has to be very subtle to discern between the self and not self. Having done that, the stone around his waist was vairagya, dispassion, that I am a seeker of truth, not seeking anything worldly. With that mindset, one has to dive. Meaning, when we sit down for meditation, if we have understood this mantra well, done vichara on this mantra, effortlessly the mind should shift away from anatma. That is the beauty. Divyaha, when we hear this word, Divyaha is that consciousness which is self-shining. That which is of the nature of knowledge. Any knowledge that is happening because of that pure consciousness. But I mix up conditioning in that consciousness and I say, I am conscious of something. I am aware of something. Whereas in true essence, I am awareness. The moment I say I am aware of something, it is only from the standpoint of this individual conditioning. Infinite has become finite. I am that awareness which is illumining all conditionings. In that way, that word should help us shift attention. Amurtaha, any form that comes to mind, I should remind myself this is not the truth. Because truth is formless. Amurtaha, nirakaraha, that which doesn't have a form. Then Purushaha, the one who resides in this body, as Asangha, unattached. In the midst of thoughts, in the midst of vasanas, the consciousness doesn't become pure or impure because of thoughts and vasanas. That is this consciousness recognized in this body. And it is Purna, that is also another reason why it is called as Purushaha. Means when I say Akshara is Purna, Akshara is complete, it doesn't lack anything. What should be our meditation on? I am Purna. Because Akshara is me. So I don't lack anything, there is no incompleteness in me. Any desire which is cropping up is because of this ignorance. I am ignorant about my Purnatva, ignorant about my completeness, that gives birth to desire. I feel something of this world will make me complete. That desire pushes us into karma. That karma we end up doing with ragadvesha. Ragadvesha pushes us further into more and more bondage. Vedanta is addressing the bondage at the root. not at the symptoms level. Main cause of bondage is I don't know my Purnatva. When we study 18th chapter in Thanksgiving time, the discourse series, there Bhagwan mentions this as quality of Sattvic Buddhi. Who has Sattvic Buddhi? The one who understands bondage and liberation properly. He doesn't attribute bondage to anything else. He has understood bondage is because I don't own up this nature of mine as Purna. I think I am Apurna, I think I am incomplete. That is my bondage. Sabahyabhyantara. I pervade outside and inside. From the standpoint of body, Bahya is this outer world, and Antar is mind and sense organs. All of them are pervaded by consciousness. Ajaha means unborn. What was the reason Shankaracharya said Akshara is unborn? Anything that is born needs anya nimitta. It needs a cause, and that cause has to be different from it. Child is born, needs cause as parents, different from the child. Like that, when it comes to Akshara, it is non-dual. There is nothing else other than Akshara. Everything else is an appearance in Akshara. Everything else is an appearance in this consciousness. So that which is non-dual cannot be born, because there is no cause other than consciousness. Just like bubbles need air as the cause, here there is no other cause which can bring about birth of consciousness. So if we remove the first modification, all 6 modifications, including death, is negated. So our meditation should be, as consciousness, I am unborn and I will not die. Shankaracharya said, this is the true meaning of fearlessness. When we understand our immortal nature as the blissful self Akshara, any fear about death, any fear about change, that should go away on the strength of this knowledge. In fact, our journey and effort should continue until we see these results. We should not be satisfied by hearsay knowledge. The main question is, have I become fearless? And there is no need to announce, okay, I am fearless now. Life will give us so many tests that will make us appreciate how important it is to hold on to this knowledge. That is ajaha. Then we saw aprana. Aprana means there is no prana in Akshara. No karmendriyas are there, nor the objects of karmendriya. They are there in Akshara. So any energy that I am talking about, all of that energy belongs to prana. I am feeling weak today, I am feeling energetic today. Both these statements are belonging to prana. If pranas are healthy, energy is optimal. But it has nothing to do with consciousness. Consciousness is apranaha, doesn't have any energy. Energy is not associated with consciousness, nor does it have karmendriyas, organs of action. Now let us see the next word, which is very important word, amanaha. So page number 49 in your Bhasya, 8th line from the top. Tatha amanaha aneka jnana shakti bheda. Did you find? Online? Okay, good. But please do mark all these pauses whenever we take. And I hope you are highlighting the words from the mantra. In the Bhasya, that is when those words will open up more. Tatha amanaha aneka jnana shakti bhedavat sankalpakadi sankalpadi atmakam manah api avidyamanam yasmin saha ayam amanaha apranah hi amanascha iti pranadi vayubhedaha karmendriyani tadvishayascha tatha cha buddhimanasi buddhi indriyani tadvishayascha pratisiddhaha veditavyaha tatha cha shrutyantare dhyayativa lelayativa iti yasmacha evam pratisiddha upadhi dvayah tasmat shubhrah shuddhah tatha amanaha. Just like we said, pranas are not there in Akshara. In the same way, mind is also not there in Akshara. Tatha amanaha aneka jnana shakti bhedavat. So pranas have kriya shakti, the energy to do action, and mind has the energy of knowledge, power of knowledge. Aneka jnana shakti bhedavat. What all things mind can do? What is the jnana shakti of the mind? Sankalpadi atmakam. It can analyze different facets. It can think about. Critical thinker, that is this mind. So here when mind is said, intellect is also included. Manaha and buddhi. Mind analyzes, intellect decides. What is Akshara? That which is devoid of mind and intellect, that is Akshara. So if somebody gets too attached with mind, means the intellectual ability, that itself is a bondage. Ability to analyze and ability to decide. If someone says, I am very good at it, that itself is our bondage. Because in Akshara, there is no manas and there is no buddhi. Vyavaharik standpoint, mana has lot of importance, buddhi has lot of importance. And there are different sadhanas given, chants given to increase the ability of mana and buddhi. Gayatri Mantra, Shiva Sankalpa Suktam. All of them are addressing mind and intellect. Dhiyo yonah prachodayat. May this intellect shine brilliantly. Tanme manaha Shiva Sankalpam astu. May this mind have Shiva Sankalpa. When such a mind is purified, the knowledge that dawns on this mind is, I am not this mind. Yesterday we saw in Ramcharitmanas Aranyakand introduction, Viveka Jaladehi Anandadam Indum. Who is Bhagwan Shiva? He is like the moon who gives joy to the ocean of Viveka. Viveka means discernment. What are we discerning between here? Thoughts and consciousness. Mana and Chaitanya. Chitta and Chit. Chitta belongs to the mind, and Chit is pure consciousness. Unless we have grace of God, this mind and consciousness looks the same. Both appear mixed up. We know that thoughts are sentient, but we think sentiency belongs to these thoughts. So Bhagwan's grace has to be there to see this viveka as it is. That thoughts are inert and consciousness is devoid of thoughts. Thoughts are the doorway to consciousness. Why? Because thoughts become an object of consciousness. We had seen this in Pratibodha Viditam Matam. Bodham Bodham Pratividitam. Every thought becomes an object of that awareness. That awareness is this Akshara. And it is devoid of mind, devoid of thoughts. Manaha api avidyamanam yasmin saha ayam amanaha. That is this consciousness which is devoid of mind and thoughts. Apranaha hi amanascha iti. So both these indicators, aprana and amanaha, what are they indicating? Pranadi vayu bhedaha. Different types of pranas and vayu. Karmendriyani tad vishayascha. Organs of action and their objects. Tathacha buddhi manasi. When it is said amanaha, we have to include intellect also and mind also. What about ego? You see, buddhi includes ahankara. Buddhi includes ahankara, and chitta is included in mind, manas. Means entire antakarana is included there. Mana, buddhi, chitta and ahankara. Mind, intellect, ego and memory. None of that is there in Akshara. Tad vishayascha pratisiddhaha. And the objects of these respective organs of action and the inner instrument, that is negated in Akshara. Pratisiddhaha. In Akshara, these things are negated. Means imagine the subtlety with which one has to do this viveka. When mind is calm and quiet at the seat of meditation, bringing this understanding that these thoughts depend on me for their existence, I am devoid of thoughts. Thoughts depend on me for existence. I, as Akshara, am devoid of these thoughts. Amanaha. You know, when a surgeon opens the body, he knows precisely what he is looking for. Ordinary person opening the body, everything looks the same. Where is heart, where is kidney, you don't know anything. This sadhaka is like that surgeon. Very subtle, knows precisely what he is looking for. Doesn't get carried away with thoughts. Instead, he asks, to whom are thoughts appearing? So that has to be different from the thought itself. Thoughts are appearing to Akshara. I am that Akshara, so I am different from thoughts. You know, this is where our experience will contradict our knowledge. I feel I am thoughts. Whenever thought becomes calm, I say I have become calm. Thought becomes focused, I feel I have become focused. and thought gets agitated, I feel I have gotten agitated. And whatever Upanishad is saying, that has to negate this experience through vichara. Focus and distraction both are appearances to consciousness. Appearances in consciousness, they are appearing to consciousness. That's why the next quotation has come. Tatha cha shrutyantare dhyayati iva lelayati iva. That is why in Upanishad, other Upanishad, it has come. Dhyayati iva. Dhyayati iva means as though meditates. Consciousness identified with mind becomes meditator. Means it has focused its attention. That is dhyayati iva. And lelayati iva refers to distracted mind. Lelayati word have you seen before? Yada lelayate hyarchihi. Mundaka only we saw. Lelayate means the flames like they are moving. That is lelayate. So here mind is moving like that, restless mind. Focus of the mind is also as though, iva. And distraction of the mind is also as though. See, the point to note here is, experience is not denied. Mind is becoming calm and focused, that experience is not refuted. Mind is getting distracted, that experience also is not refuted. What is being pointed out here? None of those states affect consciousness. The statement, I am becoming focused, I am becoming distracted, that is only as though. Iva. Why? Because I have identified with conditioning. I has to land on Akshara only. If our I lands on mind, then Iva we cannot say. We have identified with mind. I truly feel I am getting focused. I really feel I am getting agitated, disturbed. When will that Iva make sense? When I refers to Akshara. As Akshara, if I feel I am focusing, then what should I be saying? Dhyayati iva. As though I am focusing. See, only when calm mind and focused mind we can distance ourselves, then the distracted mind also will be able to distance ourselves. If calm mind we enjoy, distracted mind we say I am not this. That will not work. Calm mind is also as though, focused mind is also as though, and distracted mind is also as though. As consciousness, I am neither focused nor distracted. This is being said in that Upanishad mantra. Goswami Tulsidas Ji presents this in a sweeter form to show that one thing, when it is seen from a conditioning standpoint, it appears different. In Uttarakanda he says, Nauka Rudha Chalata Jaga Dekha Achala Moha Basa Apuhi Lekha. Person who is sitting in a boat and he is looking at trees. He feels trees are moving. Nauka Rudha Chalata Jaga Dekha Achala Moha Basa Apuhi Lekha. He says the whole world is moving, I am stationary. Means he has identified with some conditioning. Unmoving he sees as moving, and moving he doesn't see as unmoving. Trees are unmoving, he is seeing that is moving. Whereas really speaking, boat is moving. So tree represents Akshara. Tree represents Akshara and boat represents mind. Identified with the mind, that tree appears to be moving. That which is unmoving appears to be moving. So Akshara, which is unmoving, that appears to be moving when it is identified with mind. Second example he gives, Balaka Brahmahi na Brahmahi Gruhadi. Kahahi Paraspara Mithyavadi. There are little children who spin around and they suddenly stop. And they are seeing the whole house is moving. And if somebody tells them, no, house is not moving, your mind is moving. They say you are speaking false. Kahahi Paraspara Mithyavadi. Means if somebody tells us, you are unchanging consciousness. You don't get disturbed, nor you get calm and focused. What will we tell the other person? Mithyavadi. He says, no, that is my experience. I feel I am focused, I am distracted. Goswamiji says, the child also says that. That is his experience, that whole house is moving. But really speaking, it is his mind which is moving. That action of spinning, that has caused the moving or the unmoving to appear as moving. Unmoving is the house, that appears to be moving because of this ignorance. Yasmacha evam pratisiddha upadi dvayaha. Since two conditionings have been negated. What are those two conditionings? Either you can say prana and mana. What was just indicated as prana and mana, those two conditionings have been negated. That is why it is shubhra, it is pure. From consciousness standpoint, even prana and mana, best status of prana and the most sattvic mind, that also will be an impurity. Any trace of Maya in consciousness is impurity. So that which is devoid of prana and manaha, that is shubhra, that is pure. Or another way to look at the word upadidvaya is gross conditioning and subtle conditioning. Ajaha negated gross conditioning. Apranaha amanaha negated subtle conditioning. Therefore it is pure. Now what about the causal conditioning, Maya Upadi? So here remember in the mantra, Aksharat paratah paraha. What was the word Akshara referring to here? Akshara is referring to Maya. Aksharat paraha. Aksharat paratah paraha. Compared to Akshara, which is Maya, pure consciousness is greater than that. Greater than that meaning it is untouched even by Maya. Remember the discussion we had in 13th chapter? The opponent says, presence of Maya itself is bondage. And Shankaracharya says, no. Consciousness is real, Maya is unreal. Because we keep using that term, it doesn't mean we are giving equal reality to consciousness and Maya. It is tamasa pratyaya, it is not absolute. Even when we use that term, consciousness plus Maya is Ishvara. Consciousness plus avidya is Jiva. These equations we have. So there we have to always note, we are talking about Advaita Vedanta. So when we say consciousness plus avidya, that avidya is not a real entity. So if avidya becomes unreal, what does consciousness equate to? Consciousness plus avidya equals jiva. If avidya becomes unreal, what does consciousness equate to? Jiva. That is what Advaita Vedanta is trying to say. Jiva is pure consciousness. And avidya and its conditionings, subtle conditioning, gross conditioning. If avidya becomes unreal, subtle and gross conditionings also should be understood as unreal. Do that for Tatpada. Consciousness plus Maya equals Ishvara. So what is unreal here? Maya is unreal. Maya is unreal. So what does consciousness equate to? Ishvara. That is how we have to understand this. Aksharat paraha. Compared to Maya, pure consciousness is greater than it. Ataha aksharat nama rupa bija upadilakshita swarupat sarvakarya karana bijatvena upalakshamanatvat param tat upadhi lakshanam avyakritakhyam aksharam sarvavikarebhyah tasmat param tasmat paratah aksharat parah nirupadikah purushah ityarthah yasmin tat akashakhyam aksharam savyavahara vishaya vishayam otam protam cha. Because it is pure, because it is shubhra, ataha aksharat. Aksharat is word from mantra. Now what is aksharat referring to? Nama Rupa Bija, the seed of all names and forms. What is the seed of name and form? Maya. From that unmanifest Maya, this whole universe of names and form appear. This universe appears. The seed of that universe is Maya. Our rishis are very great. Shankaracharya ji, he will not spend time counting every object of this universe. Only 2 words. Nama, Rupa. You take any object, according to Shankaracharya, it has a form, it has a name. That is called as Jagat. The seed of that Jagat is Maya. That is why it is called as Akshara. Upadi Lakshita, which is indicated by this Upadi, its nature is this, Swarupat. Sarva Karya Karana Bijatvena. I think in your book it is Karana. Sarva Karya Karana. You can make it as Karana. It is a seed of all cause and effect. It is a seed of all cause and effects in this creation. That is this Akshara Tattva. Upalakshamanatvena Param. Because it is the seed of all worldly cause and effects, compared to those effects, Maya is superior to its effects. That is why it is called as Para. Maya is also called as Para. It is more permanent compared to its effects. That is why it is called as Akshara. When Pralaya happens, all names and forms get dissolved. but Maya remains in seed form. Because it remains even at the time of Pralaya, it is called as Akshara. Then when the next cycle of creation is ready, from that same Akshara, all names and forms emerge. So compared to names and forms, this is more permanent. Maya is more permanent. Therefore, it is called as Para, it is called as Akshara. Tad upadi lakshanam avyakrutakyam aksharam. That which has the nature of this upadi, it is the seed of all nama rupa, and it is also known as avyakruta. It's a nice word, huh? Vyakruta means manifest. Avyakruta means unmanifest. Meaning you will never be able to see Maya. Like an object, we will never be able to see Maya. What can we see? Effects of Maya. That is why Maya is which pramana siddha? Arthapatti pramana siddha. Arthapatti means you have not seen it directly, but if you are seeing such a result, that cause has to be present. We had seen the example of whole courtyard, street getting drenched. Morning you see, everything is wet. So you say, if such a result is there, it must have rained last night. Because driveway can be wet if somebody has hose piped it. Sprinklers came on, garden can be wet. But if driveway, garden, street, everything is wet, even though I have not seen rain, I postulate that there has to be rain. No other cause could have brought about such an effect. So if you are seeing the effects of Maya in the form of Sattva, Rajas, Tamas, we say there has to be Maya which has these three gunas. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Now whenever we see this word, we have to go back and cross-reference those places where we have discussed Maya. Few examples are Tattva Bodha, Vedanta Sara. Look at how Maya is described. Consciousness is beyond that Maya. Avyakritakhyam aksharam sarva vikarebhyah tasmat paratah. Compared to all the vikara, compared to all the effects and modification, Maya is greater than that. Compared to this Maya also, paratah aksharat parah. Compared to this Maya akshara, the akshara that we are discussing, akshara that Angiras Rishi is telling to Shaunak Maharshi, that akshara is greater than Maya. It is untouched by Maya, aksharat parah, nirupadikah, without conditionings, purushaha ityartah. Means akshara is not having even Maya as its real conditioning. Nirupadikah, Maya is postulated only until we see the effects of Maya. Our mind seeks a reason. I am seeing this world which is so gross. Where did this gross world come from? Then we are told Panchikaranam happened from subtle elements. Those subtle elements came from Maya, and that Maya is rooted in Brahma. Then we say, okay. But the point is not to say that creation really has come about. Point is to say creation has come about from consciousness. Whatever emerges from consciousness is only an appearance. Because consciousness is unchanging, anything emerged from changeless cause It is not vikara, it is vivarta. It is not a real modification, it is only an appearance in that cause. Sa tatvato anyatha pratha vikarah. Atatvatah anyatha pratha vivartah. Where did we see this? Vedanta Sara. Vedanta Sara. You can go back and refer these verses. If you have studied that text, these cross references will help us clarify and strengthen our concepts. If the cause has really changed, then it is called as vikara. Milk really changes into yogurt. Sa tatvatah anyatha pratha. Atatvatah anyatha pratha. If something is appearing as different without undergoing any change, that effect is only an appearance. Like rope appears as snake without undergoing any change. That is this Akshara. It doesn't undergo any change. Yasmin tat akashakhyam aksharam. That substratum in which this Maya, which is known by Akasha. Akasha here refers to avyakrita Akasha. Unmanifest space. Avyakrita Akasha. Even to think about it is something wonderful. Your mind starts spinning. That space only to pay attention is difficult. Now we are talking about unmanifest space, avyakrita akasha. Savyavahara vishayam. Savyavahara means nama and vishayam means rupa. All nama rupas, they appear in this substratum, which is Akshara. Otam protam means it pervades all nama rupa. That Akshara pervades all nama rupa. In other words, these nama rupas are superimposed in Akshara. Otam protam means adhyastam. They are superimposed in Akshara. By the way, the same concept is there in 15th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Ksharas sarvani bhutani kutastho ksaramuchyate uttamah purushastvanyah paramatmetyudahritah. Ksharah sarvani bhutani. All the effects, they are kshara. Compared to those effects, Maya is called as kutastha. Ksharas sarvani bhutani kutastha aksharam iti uchyate. Maya is called as akshara, Maya is called as kutastha. Uttamah tu purusha anyah. Uttamah tu purusha anyah. Purushottama, that pure consciousness, is different from Maya. It is different from the effects of Maya. Uttamah Purushastu Anyah, Shuddha Chaitanya is different from Maya and its effects. That is called as Paramatma. Paramatma iti udahritah. So whenever we hear the word Paramatma, our attention should shift to that consciousness which is devoid of Maya and devoid of effects of Maya. Now there is one Purvapaksha. He says, what was the last word you used here? Otam protam in Bhasya. Otam protam means it pervades all names and forms. Savyavahara vishayam refers to nama and rupa. He says if consciousness pervades all names and forms, does it pervade prana or not? He says yes. If it pervades all names and forms, it pervades prana also. Does it pervade mind or not? He said, yes, it pervades mind also. If it pervades prana and if it pervades mind and everything else, why do you call it as aprana? Why can't you say it is aprana or saprana also? If something is pervading everything, it is pervading prana. Why do we call it as aprana? It is pervading mind. Why do you call it as amanaha? This is a very important concept of Advaita Vedanta. When we say consciousness pervades all names and forms, consciousness is real, names and forms are unreal. So if a real entity is pervading unreal entity, it doesn't get endowed with that unreal entity. So we had seen two examples in Vedanta Sara. Today I don't know everything of Vedanta Sara we are going back to. If we say carpet is pervading the floor, and we say rope is pervading the illusory snake, what is the difference between these two examples? Example number 1, carpet pervades the floor. Example number 2, rope pervades the illusory snake. What is the difference between these two examples? You can type it. Just 2 words you type. I'll get to know what you're thinking. In person, you can just say loudly. What is it? Huh? Okay. Good. Carpet floor example. Carpet and floor are same degrees of reality. Carpet is real. Floor is also unreal. Floor is not a projection. Better not be projection. Otherwise, carpet, where will it stand? In the case of rope and snake, rope is real and snake is an appearance. So even if that rope pervades the snake, it doesn't become endowed with that snake. If carpet is pervading the floor, the carpet becomes endowed with the floor. Both are together. Advaita Vedanta is not talking about carpet floor example. This is going to be our critical point in walking on the path of Advaita. Between consciousness and conditioning, consciousness and world, relationship is like snake. A relationship is like rope and snake. It's important what you say first. Rope is the substratum, snake is the superimposed. Consciousness is the substratum, prana and manaha are the superimposed. So to the extent we can remove reality from these conditionings, to that extent we can abide in the self. So Shankaracharya is going to say, consciousness or Akshara is always a prana. Because these pranas, they are not independently existing like Akshara. So there was a time when these pranas were not there. Before prana emerged at the time of creation, prana was not even there. So whom did Akshara pervade in that case? So something which is not independently there, you cannot say entity A becomes endowed with that unreal thing. His main point is prana is not swatasiddha. It is not real like consciousness. Mind is not swatasiddha. So an unreal thing is being pervaded by a real thing. So that real thing doesn't get endowed with that thing. So aprana word is right. He gives a very interesting example. Yatha anutpanne putre aputraha devadattah. What does he want to say? When prana was not born, you cannot call Akshara as saprana. Just like when Devadatta's son is not born, you cannot call Devadatta as father. The main point we have to appreciate, something which is not independently existing, unreal thing, that doesn't bring about any attributes to consciousness. Next mantra is going to emphasize this point. Okay, let's just directly read it. Katham punaha apranadimatvam tasyeti uchyate. Why do you say that Akshara is apranaha, etc.? Yadi hi pranadayah pragutpattehe purusha iva svena atmana santi. If prana and mind, they were present even before manifesting, like pure consciousness, purusha iva, tada purushasya pranadina vidyamanena pranadimatvam bhavet. Then you can say this consciousness is sapranaha. Because prana is also as real as consciousness. It has always been there with consciousness. Natute pranadayah pragutpattehe purusha iva svena atmana santi. So all these pranas, mind, etc., the conditioning, before the emergence of creation, they were not there. They all have emerged from this purusha. Because they are not independently existing, they don't bring about any titles to purusha. Ataha apranadiman paraha purushaha. Therefore, this parah purusha is devoid of prana. Yatha anutpanne putre aputraha devadattah. When Devadatta's son is not born, Devadatta doesn't have the title of father. Like that, when pranas were not born, what was there to pervade? Otam protam was said. He says otam protam is only from conditioning standpoint, not consciousness standpoint. As consciousness, it is what it is. If at all conditionings are seen, we say consciousness pervades those conditionings. Even while it is pervading, it doesn't get affected by the conditionings. Because one is real, another is unreal. Now next mantra is going to lead us to another stage in our understanding. That mantra says, once you have understood the nature of truth, look at the implications of that truth and understand where this world has emerged from. Because if we only think about I, aham, and forget about world, the moment we get up from our seat of meditation, what we have to face is world. So what should be our thought? What should be our mindset after having understood Akshara? That is given in the next mantra. So elaboration of mantra 2, Divyohya Murta Purushaha, is the next set of mantras. If you have understood what is Divya, then the result of that understanding should express in this way. That we will see in the next session. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. There is one question here. If Maya is always there in seed form after Pralaya, then do we also consider it as eternal? The thing about Maya is, it is destroyed with knowledge. Until knowledge comes, avidya or Maya, it can go on for several cycles of creation. So in that way it is eternal. But in 13th chapter, which is going to come up next, Bhagwan Shankaracharya ji, he gives a very radical point. He says, don't think too much about avidya. Even to say that avidya is anadi and santa, it is beginningless and has an end. He says that also is erroneous statement. Understand avidya as unreal. The moment you put time on it, the moment you put space, that means you have already included some effects of avidya. That's a very interesting point. He says you cannot find example of anything which is beginningless and has an end. The example that is given is pragabhava. Pragabhava means prior non-existence. Before a pot was born, it was non-existent. The moment a pot is born, that non-existence ceases. So non-existence was beginningless and it had an end. Beginningless entity having an end, pragabhava, that is the example given for anadi and santa. So they say avidya is like that which doesn't have a beginning but it has an end. Shankaracharya refutes it. He says, do you pay attention to your example? Which example are you giving? Abhava. He says abhava is not a real thing. It's a non-existent thing. That example you are giving for anadi and santa. You cannot find example of thing which is beginningless and it has an end. So his main point there is, don't put time on avidya. Understand its falsity and know consciousness to be ever free. That at some point it was bound, now it is liberated. Or at some point I was bound, now I am liberated. All these are erroneous, he says. All right. Hari Om, everyone.